Hey everyone, this is Dan Dix here from Press for Truth, and we are currently standing right out front of the RBC main headquarters here in downtown Toronto, which is literally just down the street from the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Now, we thought it was important to come here today because of what happened last week in Ottawa. As many of you know, there was a firebombing at an RBC bank in Ottawa just last week by a group who is calling themselves the FFFC Ottawa. Now, I do know that a lot of local anarchist groups in Ottawa are trying to distance themselves from the group. They're saying, we don't know who they are, we don't work with them, we are not violent. These guys just kind of popped up out of nowhere. Another interesting note to make is the fact that governments and authorities, agencies like the RCMP, the CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, engage in a manipulation technique known as false flags. Now, a false flag operation is a covert operation that is done in an attempt to deceive the public into believing that somebody else orchestrated some sort of attack. The term was derived from the military. It's literally the concept of flying the flag of another country when you're doing an attack. So what we see with the firebombing in Ottawa is, highly, highly questionable, especially when you consider the fact that they often use this idea of the Hegelian dialectic, which is where you set up the thesis, you also set up the antithesis or antithesis so that you can offer your synthesis to the very problem that you created in the first place. It is more commonly referred to as problem, reaction, solution, where you create a problem, say the bombing, you get a reaction, say, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? And then you offer your solution to the problem, which is more cameras, more security, more lockdown, more of just, oh, not bad, how are you?
What's going on?
Oh, we're just doing a little report.
Okay, unfortunately you can't be filming in front of the building yet.
Well, we're not filming the building.
I'm sorry?
We're not filming the building, but he's just on me. I've seen a lot of other news organizations doing their reports in this same spot.
Who are you with, sir?
Press for Truth.
Do you want to take it up with Oxford Management tomorrow morning?
Well, we're here to do our report today. Am I on the property line, or?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, so where's public? This is public.
Can you tell us exactly where the property line is?
Yeah, because just so we can make sure, we get her right here is okay?
Yeah, you stand right
Okay.
here, actually.
So that's
right here.
private. Okay, that's fine.
But because of the G20, they're being really strict.
Yeah, well, we heard that they're been talking with private security firms. There's going to be over 1,000 private security at the G20, and they've been informing you guys to keep an eye on things, I guess, because of the G20, right?
Anyways, gentlemen, enjoy your day. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
Thanks so much.
Okay, you kind of threw me off. All right, try the false flag again. Now, it's extremely important to note that there is a history of government agencies and authorities such as the RCMP and the CSIS, Canadian Security and Intelligence Service, for carrying out something that is referred to as false flag operations. Now, what a false flag event is a covert operation in which they try to deceive the public into believing that an attack was orchestrated by another party than it actually was done by. The term is derived from the military. It's literally the concept of flying the flag of another country.
You're going to have to wrap it up. My associate had it wrong. Even if you're on private, you have the camera pointed at the building. We can't allow that.
Okay.
We
Where
can't
exactly
allow that.
could we film that? Because we're surrounded by buildings.
Well, right now, my concern is RBP. That's my contract. Right now, the clients have it under strict, especially with the G20 summit coming up. No filming on property without their consent. Especially if you're standing on city property. No, especially if you have on city property and you have the cameras pointed at the building.
Okay, so we'll just not point it at the building then, and then we should be fine, right?
Like this?
Like this way?
Field of view is this way.
Do you have
If
a
we
business card or anything like that?
stand this way? No, I don't.
No, who are you filming for?
Press for Truth.
Press for Truth?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an independent media outlet.
You have a website or anything?
Yeah. It's pressfortruth.ca. Yes.
Can I get one of your names or anything?
My name's Dan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Last name, Dan?
Is there any reason why you need my last name?
Last initial, if you don't want to give me your last name.
No, I don't really want to give that. The police need an excuse to be able to clamp down like we're seeing like today. You know, we're just doing our report and we have a couple security guards come out. We have 2 police officers there behind us watching us. They need an excuse to be able to do things like this. CSIS, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, which is basically our version of the CIA or FBI here in Canada, has stated on their website that anti-globalization activists are to be considered terrorists. If you are a government agency and your agenda is to clamp down even harder on people's rights, clamp down even harder on people's liberties, beef up the police state here in Toronto, input more CCTV Big Brother type cameras who peer into everything you do, you need an excuse. You can't just outright come out and do that. So with the G20 coming to town, they now have the perfect excuse to install more CCTV cameras like you see the ones going up behind me. Now, they have stated that there will be upwards of 70 new cameras going up and around all around the the Toronto core. Now, they did state that after the G20, the cameras will be taken down. However, if you study their track record, just 2 years ago, the City of Toronto stated that they were going to be putting up new cameras in the Club District, which is just down the street. At the time, they stated it was going to be a trial period and it was going to be a test. But now here we are 2 years later, and those cameras are still there. So, judging by their track record, it is very safe to say that these new CCTV cameras that are going up all around Toronto will stay there, and they will be permanent.
Any ID on you?
I do have ID on me.
Can you give it to me?
Why do you want to see my ID?
Because there's a heightened security because of the G20 coming up.
I'm aware. I'm going to go through the accreditation process and everything. All I'm doing down here today is just getting shots on the streets, bank logos, stuff like that to show the proximity of where the G20 is in relation to the financial district.
Okay, well, turn around, put your hands behind your back. Okay. We're going to do it that way.
This is Brian Law reporting for Press for Truth from Queen's Park South. I'm just here to give everyone an update on the arrest situation that happened a few weeks ago that everyone saw on video, where I was down just getting B-roll shots for pre-G20 video for Press for Truth, and I was subsequently asked to surrender identification from private security, to which I refused. The police came up in a cruiser, requested identification. I identified my name and what I was filming, which should have been good enough, considering that I wasn't breaking any laws. Then was approached by 3 officers on foot, 2 at first, and then a third one came up to fill out the arrest report. I'd just like to let everybody know an update on the situation. I filed an official police complaint with the Toronto Police Department, and it's going to take 30 days for me to get a copy of my arrest report, which I have paid to get because I'm interested to see what it is that they put on their record of arrest.
So here we are now downtown at University and College at Queen's Park. This is the new location that they have designated for the free speech zone for the thousands of protesters that are going to be coming into the city for the G20 summit. Now, as some of you may have seen from our video about 2 weeks ago, we were doing some reporting from Trinity Bellwoods Park. That was the original site for the designated free speech zone. But since then, they have changed the location to be here on the north side of Queen's Park. Now, organizers of a lot of the protest groups here in Toronto have stated that, you know, it doesn't matter where you put this so-called free speech zone, they're not going to confine themselves to that area anyways, nor should they. In Canada, under our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, we have the right to be seen and to be heard. So we don't feel that protesters should be penned into a particular area to exercise their free speech. So if these people do venture south and want to make their way towards the convention center, by all rights they should be able to do that. Now, there may be people out there who say, well, if all these thousands of protesters walk into the street, you know, you're going to shut down the city. No, it's not the protesters who are going to shut down the city. It's the international globalists who have held the G20 summit in the downtown core who are going to shut down the city.